All right. So this particular webinar is specifically about the new features that have been released. We have them released to the Android store, to Google Play, and they're currently being approved by Apple, so we expect them to be within the Apple Store within a couple of days here. They're also um, already released on desktop if you've downloaded the newest version of that. So the main changes that have occurred have been to the way that we allow customers to sync their data and to use the mobile and desktop devices um, in order to choose what parts of the data are used. So let's go ahead and first pull up the mobile device here. Let me link it up so you guys can see as well. Here we go. So I'm currently on iOS. This is our sandbox version, just because, like I said, we're still waiting for Apple to approve the changes on it. But once it's released, it'll look the exact same. And if you're on Android, it'll look the exact same as well. So I go ahead and first thing I do is open up TeslaLink. You'll notice that now there is an online login button. This is used if you don't want to isolate your device from online. So essentially, this is going to be a real-time sync so that if you are on and you're using it, it's constantly updating and you never have to synchronize your device with the rest of the information on there. Now, keep in mind, this will not automatically sync with devices that are not online. So for instance, if I'm using my mobile device here in the online mode, and then somebody's using the desktop version in the offline mode, it will not automatically sync with the offline desktop until they press synchronize on there. In order to use the online login, you just click on the login itself. It's going to ask you to enter your username and password. This will have to be done each time because it's not going to keep a local profile. So you can put in your login information here. And just a second here while I throw in the password. Then once you log in, each time it's going to ask you to accept the EULA. Go ahead and agree to that, and it's going to pull up your information here. Now, like I said, it's not going to have to sync, and so that means you get to skip the initial sync each time. It takes just a minute for it to load in like this, and then it looks very similar to the offline version as well. If you ever get confused and you need to know whether you are offline or online, up in this top left-hand corner with the 3 horizontal marks, if we click on that and then we go to About, you'll notice we have this section right here that says Connection Mode Online, and that lets me know that I'm online and I do not need to sync. If I go back to the home page here, this works the exact same way as if you were offline, just with a constant sync, and it functions the same way as it did before. So if I need to look up an asset, I can click on the Assets button. You'll notice there's now a loading bar up at the top that indicates that I'm in the middle of a search. If I go ahead and just do a blank search for everything again, you'll see that pop up again up here at the top. Just to let you know, makes it a little bit easier visually to understand that you're in the middle of a search and it's still loading the results for you. Once you go into the individual assets themselves, if I click on this first one here, it takes just a second to load it in, and you'll see we have the information here. So we have the images just like before, and then the layout is the exact same. I can drag this bar at the top from right to left and find all the different sections just like I did previously. If I want to fill a form or something like that, I can go ahead and fill it out. At the end of it, save the asset, and I don't need to synchronize. In fact, you'll notice while you're online, where there would normally be a synchronize button on this left-hand side, that button no longer exists because it's not an option for you. So online mode just gives you another option in case you don't want to have to synchronize constantly. This is very useful for if you have a place with good internet connectivity. For instance, if you're out in your own shop as opposed to on-site with a client, this can be very useful to keep you constantly connected as long as you have the Wi-Fi infrastructure to support it. Now, if I want to only sync specific items, let me go ahead and close this out and start from the beginning. I have the option of creating a profile. So just like before, I can click on New User Profile and add in my the profile that I want to sync on here. You can see I already have one on here, and that way I can show you the rest of it, and then we can go back because we don't want to have to wait on the sync. So for now, we'll just go ahead and hop into my local account here. And we implemented a couple of other options, a couple of other things that are available. So if I go into assets here and I search for one of my assets, you can see we still have that mobile loading bar. It goes rather quickly because I'm not dependent on Wi-Fi right now. So I can choose one of my particular assets. It brings up the asset like before, and then up at the top, I can click on Fill Form. Now, one of the things that we had heard from especially Highline operators was that sometimes you need to pick a picture that you already had on your device rather than picking one that is in front of you. We've added that option, so now if I go to the system inspections here and I put in my job number or my order number, and then I go out to fill the next part in my inspection here, I have a couple of extra options. So we still have notes from before in case we need to write extra notes about whatever field we're working on. We have camera. Camera would be if I need to take a picture and it's directly in front of me. I can go ahead and click on that and add it in. And then we also have to the left of that pick. Pick is exactly what we were talking about. If I already have an image stored on my device locally, and I need to pick that device as opposed to taking a new picture. So for instance, if I go up to a higher risk, more dangerous area, take all the pictures that I need, and then I go to a safer area and I want to fill out the form after that. You can click on pick, choose where you want that from, and then close, and we're good to go. At the end of that, we can go ahead and just pass all of these. I can click pass, finish it up, and go back, and now that is saved in there. So I can go ahead and save it here. And now under completed work, we have that option of having that image. One of the other things that you can do from this area is we made it a little bit easier to get an iron cert report. So if you have the forms already set up for this and you are using the iron cert report feature, this is something that's available to all clients if you choose to use it. You now have the ability to do that from this section. So you can see right under take picture and pick photo, we have get iron cert report. That's going to run the iron cert report on this asset and only this asset at this time. This is to make it a little bit quicker for you and for the customer if you choose to give them this ability to get this report quickly for this particular asset. Now we don't have assets set up on here because this is not an iron testing demo account, but you would click on get iron cert report and it pops up. If you choose not to use the get iron cert report, if you don't normally use that inside your workflow and you choose to disable it, it will instead show up with the completed ops form details, which allows you to get the completed ops form details report on this one particular asset more quickly as well. Now, if I pull up my settings here, you can see the changes that we've made in terms of the selective sync on here. So this tells me what is currently synced. On this left-hand side, you see the synchronization date. This is if I want to only collect certain forms. So if I choose a date of, say, the beginning of this year, it will only sync forms that were filled out at the beginning of this year or later. It will not sync anything before that. That could be useful if you're going on site and you only need the last year's worth of data or something like that, or if you consistently do not need older data. If, for instance, you've been a customer with us for a while and you have 8 years worth of data, most of the time you're not going to need all of that on your mobile device. You'll only need that on the web function to run reports. So that allows you to do it more quickly. Below that, we also have the option for syncing by owner and location. You can see currently I have everything selected. So this would work in the same way that it did a couple of weeks ago where everything is constantly on there. If I don't want that, if I only want to sync a certain profile at a time, let me close this out. I can instead create the new user profile, log in with my information just one time on this because it's going to save a local profile and have me instead use a PIN. Oops, at.com. I'm put in my password really quick. Agree to the EULA once and enter your PIN that you want to use. And then it's going to come up with a screen that allows you to choose this. So at this point, if I'm only looking to sync a certain number of users, or sorry, a certain number of owners or locations, I can do so. So I can go into Tenant 16 here and say I only want this location and this location. And from here, I only want root. And from here, I only want root, and so on. So you can choose which owners and which locations you want to sync. As a quick little way to update everybody or nobody, there is up at the top here a select all and unselect all. When you click select all, you'll notice that it's only choosing the owners. By default, if you choose the owner and you do not choose any locations, such as you see right here on tenant 16, that will sync all the locations for that owner. If you only want specific locations, you need to specify that within the app right here. And so you would put it in like this, and that's only going to sync those locations that way. So we'll go ahead and select all again. If I wanted the date, I would click lookup on the right-hand side right here, and it'll pop up with the day right here. I can choose whatever day I want it to be. We can do the beginning of this month, for instance. And then when I click save, it's going to start the synchronization on there. So I'll say save successfully, and then start the sync. Now for desktop, this is going to work in much the same way. Let me go ahead and pull that up here. So you can see, just like in the mobile version, we have the online login here. If I log in on mobile, it'll do the same way in that it will constantly sync for me, so I do not have to press the synchronize button, and that synchronize button actually will not appear for me. Beyond that, I also have the ability to create a local profile, as you can see right here. So when I do that and log in, this way we have the selective synchronization. So I still have the synchronize button over here on the left-hand side. Because I'm offline, I will have to use that anytime that I want to synchronize between here and other devices. And if I bring up the about, it tells me right now that I'm in offline mode right here. Now, an important thing for both the desktop version and the mobile version is once you have set your synchronize mode, if you selectively sync, for instance, just one owner, and then you sync through, everything's set up, you're good to go, and later you need to add more to that, or you need to add more owners to your synchronized list. Currently, you will have to delete your profile, resync with the new settings, and continue from there. So there's not a way to add more data, or there's not a way to synchronize more owners or locations without first deleting your profile. Now, because you're only syncing specific parts of your profile, it's going to be a much quicker sync than what you've seen in the past with your account information. So it's not like you're going to be sitting around waiting for a very long time unless you have a large amount of data. But that is something to keep in mind is once you've synced, if you need to change your sync settings, you will have to go in and delete your old profile and then resync as the new one. That is most of the selective sync features. Do we have any questions so far on how this affects you or on any particular functions? It looks like most everybody's good. We do have articles that were just released on our help portal. So if we bring that up over here on the help portal, if you do have any questions on syncing for it, then you can hop into the individual sections. For instance, we have right here, how to choose a picture and online mode and selective sync. And we also have videos that will be sent out. I believe were actually sent out in our previous release notes. However, if you do have any questions, you need those videos, you can either go to our YouTube channel, you can look through the step-by-step guides right here, or you can contact either myself or your account manager, and we would be happy to get you those videos, answer any questions that you have about this, and we welcome any feedback that will come up as you go through and use this. Obviously, this is a big change and adds a lot of functionality for you, so we are here to support you completely on that.